Bravery Sports and subscribe. We're going to give some stuff away. All right. So let's get down to business of the NFL. So the schedule as of right now has not been released. We're predicting, shout out to official Gator 9 YouTube channel, that the schedule will be released on May 14th at 8 o'clock. So we don't know that has not been official from what I saw, thinking that's going to be the day at 8 o'clock. The next day, next week, we're going to go over the schedule. Okay? So we think it'll be next week. So this week, we're going to go over our division here, the AFC North. And the AFC North with the old prime time music. Chris Berman talking about the Central, the North. Like, I don't even know what that is. That's ice hockey. The AFC North, the North Division ice hockey used to be the Central Division, basically, of ice hockey. They used to name it Smythe Division, Patrick Division, etc. For ice hockey. A lot of people don't even know what that is anymore. But we're here to talk about the AFC North. So why are we doing this? What's important in football? Okay. So I know a lot of you fans are focused on the Chiefs. I understand that. As far as you're concerned, you got to skip right to the AFC Championship game and get to the Chiefs. I understand that. But the first thing you want to do, the first order of business, is still win games, win your division. So who's in the division? The AFC North is still a very, very good division. Some debate whether it's still the best division in all of football, but you had 3 teams go to the playoffs from the North last year. Browns went, Squealers went, and the Bengals were still not bad. I mean, I think they were over 500 even without Joe Burrow. So they have 2 decent quarterbacks. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out this year with the North. But any coach will tell you, first order of business, win the division. So what's in the division? So we're not going to be predicting the division, but we're going to be talking a little bit about not just the Ravens here in this segment, but all the teams in the AFC North. So let's take a look. Comparison. So we're going to go over the positions, strengths and weaknesses of the teams in the division, what exactly that they have, what that they don't have, what are strengths and weaknesses, how it might play out in terms of that kind of where teams lie at this point. Now, at this point of the offseason, right, we're done with the free agency for the most part. Most of the big free agents, we're going to do a segment on like what's left in free agents. But a lot of the big free agents already done. Draft now over. The teams are in large part built. The Ravens last year, I think, had an unusual amount of guys that they signed late in the process, June, July, whatever, that were really good. But for the most, we know, right? We're here in May. Now we know, right? So what do they look like right now? A lot of these teams. Quarterback, number 1, Lamar Jackson, obviously. Lamar won the MVP last season. I thought Lamar was terrific. Stayed healthy, which was impressive. He looks a lot less fresher. I said it all year. He looked a lot fresher, a lot crisper, all at the end. I thought Lamar looked better. He had a better group of receivers. He was able to throw the ball more. We'll get to receiver group, maybe not as good, but Lamar, still number 1. Joe Burrow, some people would argue that he's number 1. I think the only argument with him, though, is after injury last year is the argument is against Lamar, rather, is that he's had success against Pat Mahomes. He's the only one in the whole league. Really nobody else other than it's been Joe Burrow and Tom Brady, really the only 2 that have had any success against Pat Mahomes. So he's number 2. I'll put him in the 2 spot. I'm not giving up quite on Deshaun Watson. A lot of people seem to be that. I think he actually started to turn himself around before the injury. He kind of scuffled a bit. He hadn't played a lot of games. So I think this is key, though, for him. Interesting to see how they feel about him if he comes out to a slow start again, doesn't look good in camp as well. But I have him 3rd. Russell Wilson, I have 4th. Some people might have him 3rd. Um, I don't know how much is left for Russell. I think this situation is much better for him, though. Obviously, there's going to be no pressure on him. Justin Fields is also there, but there's no pressure on Wessel. Better group of receivers. He's going to have a more free hand in the offense. I'm sure he's got a defensive coach, so he's not going to have to be as structured with Sean Payton. I think they're going to do things catered to him, but I think it's fourth. This division is too good. For him to be higher. I will say, though, it's still an upgrade for the Steelers, like over Kenny Pickett, Mason Rudolph, and what they had last year. So that's good. Number one, Baltimore Ravens. Derrick Henry, I think, might be the best running back in the league. If he's not the best running back, and certainly the best running back in that division. I think also, too, you look at the Ravens' ability to run the football. They will run the football. I think having Henry there is a good thing. They did draft Ali in the draft. They still have Justice Hill, but Henry is the star here, number one. Nick Chubb. Some people might argue that and say Nick Chubb, but Nick Chubb didn't play a lot at the end of last year. Jacoby Ford, I will say Ford, the backup was very good. Thought they did sign back Kareem Hunt after he went down, but Ford I thought was good. I thought that was a good. So decent 1-2 punch. I'm not sure what they have left in Chubb, as good as he was before the injury, but he was out for a pretty bad injury he had. We'll see how well and how good he comes back here. Squealers at 3. They did go ahead and have Najee Harris. I think Jalen Warren, I think, was their best running back for a large portion of the year. Kind of in the second half, Harris kind of came around. They didn't pick up the 5th-year option with the Squealers. So that's a thing. You wonder what they feel about him not picking up the 5th-year option. And the Bengals, no Joe Mixon there anymore as well. So they're going to be ahead starting Moss there. They're going to go ahead and start Moss and Zach Moss for them. So, yeah, they're definitely 4th there as well. Interesting to see what the Bengals are doing. I kind of didn't understand why they wanted to get rid of Mixon. I did all I could to keep him, but I think the cap was hurting him. Number 1, not Ravens this time. It's Cincinnati. I'm giving them the number 1 as far as the receivers. When you're comparing the receivers, T. Higgins is still there. So that's still a thing. I'm still going to put them in the number 1 spot. I don't think they're going to trade him, at least this year. I do think they are going to go ahead and keep him there for at least for the rest of the year. Keep him there at the position. You know how good Jamar Chase is. I think Chase might be the best receiver still in the NFL. They did go ahead and Jermaine Burton. Very interesting. Jermaine Burton was a very interesting pick. This is Bengal-like, getting Jermaine Burton there as well to fill in for Tyler Boyd. It's Bengal-like because he's got a checkered off field and he's very talented. So this is a guy that really kind of surprised people. Had some bad off-field stuff, but if they can get him straightened out, they can go ahead and turn him around. The Squealers. Squealers, I think they did go ahead and still have George Pickens there as far as at the starters go. So that's a good thing. They do have George Pickens to go ahead and start for him. They did go ahead and get rid of Deontay Johnson. They went ahead and traded him away. So they're going to be starting Roman Wilson and possibly Van Jefferson there as well. They have a history of developing receivers. I did factor that in here. So the Steelers, even though they lost to Deontay Johnson, they do have a history of developing good receivers. I'm going to put the Browns 3rd here. They did go ahead and get Jerry Jeudy. I don't love him that much as well. Amari Cooper, I think, is possibly on the downside, although he's been good throughout recent years. But I think it's 3rd. I think they're behind those other 2 teams. Ravens are in 4th again. I think they're stronger than they were a few years ago. Again, you still got a lot of unproven guys. Zay Flowers, I think, is clearly, in the number 1 spot. They're going to give Rashard Bateman every chance to go ahead and do it. Can he stay healthy for a whole season as well? Devontae Walker, they went ahead and got in the draft as well. We'll see. I think it's fourth in this division of good receivers in that division. They are tops of the board at tight ends. Um, this is easily, I think this might be number one in the entire league. You got Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely there. I don't think there's better than that. I don't know who that is. Charlie Kolar, who I think is good as well, hasn't been able to even get on the field that much as well. Depends. We'll see. I think they're very good. I think they're very good. I think it doesn't to me quite make up for the receiver deficiency, but they're really really good. David Njoku was good last year. Absolutely, he was. David Njoku was at number two. He definitely worked his way up. I thought like definitely right near the top of the league as far as uh, tight ends. So a good resurgence for David Njoku and tight end. Squealers fall back a bit. You might have said Pat Fairmouth a couple years ago, and I don't think he's off the reservation. I kind of think he's in the same spot as uh, kind of like a Rashad Bateman. Got to prove himself to be healthy long enough to go ahead and do it. They did go ahead. They still have Darnell Washington, Connor Hayward there. Still have some work to do in that sense. Bengals, I think they're at the rear. I think they still have Hayden Hurst there. Their tight end group is not nearly as strong as their wide receiver group. I'm sorry, they have Mike Gesicki. Mike Gesicki, I'm sorry. That was a few years ago. Mike Gesicki and Drew Sample. So we'll see about that as well. I think it's fourth for them. The offensive line. Now, this is interesting. Hard to predict here with the lines because there's some shuffling going on. I got the Browns here at the top. Jarrett Willis, Joe Patano, Wyatt Teller, Conklin on the line, along with Ponick as well. I'm going to go ahead and put them first. I think the run game and the history shows that as well, that they know how to run the ball. That's what they're for sure going to do. That's what they've been doing. They're definitely going to run the football. I think it's the best line overall as a group. They don't have the best player necessarily, but I think it's the best line. The Ravens, this is for the most part a nod to Tyler Linderbaum. I think Linderbaum might really be. Last year, I think he broke out. I think just as we thought he would, he may be the best center in the NFL. I think maybe Creed Humphrey may be the only guy ahead of him, and we'll see. Filling some holes. Again, this is a little bit of a nod to what they've already done. Interesting to see what happens with Voorhees and Ben Cleveland and the right and left guard competition. I think they're fine everywhere else. I think Ronnie Stanley's got to stay healthy, and Rose Garden, I think, is going to start for them at the other tackle. So it'll be interesting to see. Bengals are not at the bottom. Bengals are a little bit higher. Not great. I do like. I do like Orlando Brown. I think that's there. They did go ahead and get Trent Brown to play on the other side. I feel like they should be a little bit better because they put a lot of resources into getting better. They need to protect Burrow more, but I think it's for the Steelers. You have no idea what they're getting. Although I do like their draft, Fatanu and Zach Frazier as well. So I think there's a lot to like there as well. But at fourth, they're still pretty young. Broderick Jones, you still don't know yet. They're at fourth. D-line. So D-line, I think number one is the Browns. You got Myles Garrett there. I think Garrett might be the best defensive player in the league there as well. So I don't think there's any question about that, what they're capable of. Bengals, I think they are sliding a little bit. They for years now, they've had Hendrickson and they've had Sam Hubbard on the ends. And I said, well, you got really good ends there. They still have BJ Hill, maybe getting a little older. They're sliding a little bit. Ravens, Matabuke, $25 million. Justin Matabuke is really good. I think the 3-4 line, not as many bodies in there. I'd like to see a little bit more development from Travis Jones, even though Michael Pierce has been really good. as well. And Broderick Washington has been decent. Steelers, I think Cam Hayward is still there. They need him to stay healthy to do that. They're not nearly. This isn't nearly as good as some of the 3-4 in lines that they've had throughout the years. They have, but they need Cam Hayward to stay healthy. They need to have that happen to go ahead and get that taken care of. A few more linebackers, the Squealers. How good is TJ Watt? I mean, TJ Watt is phenomenal. I mean, there's no questioning whether he is good. Guess who's there in Pittsburgh? Patrick Queen. I can't believe it. Patrick Queen is there in Pittsburgh. That's a wow. I'm still like, that's unbelievable. So he's going to make that. He wants to prove too that he can lead a team as well to success. You also have Highsmith, I think, is outstanding pass rusher on the other side. So with that group is terrific. Ravens, I think, are really good as well on the inside. I think like you have Roquan Smith, who might be the best inside linebacker in the entire NFL. I think Trenton Simpson is going to come in and play well as well. Question whether the end outside, they're believing that he's going to go ahead and do it. They did sign Van Noy. Good depth there. I think the two. The other teams as well in this division, linebackers are kind of meh. The Bengals linebacker, I've never liked for the last couple of years their back seven, the Bengals. And I still really don't like them. Jermaine Pratt, Logan Wilson, not bad, I suppose. Eric Gaither, they're okay, not well. Browns, differing opinions. I'm not as in love with it as other teams, other people seem to be as far as their linebackers. I do like their inside guy, Jordan Hicks. I think I do like him. They got Devin Bush there. I'm not as sold on that on their linebacking crew. I don't think it matters much because they have a great defensive line. Ravens secondary is top shelf, no question about it. The safety group is as good as any in the league. Marcus Williams, I think a lot of people have forgotten how good he is. I think you can keep him healthy. He's great. Kyle Hamilton, is he the number one safety in the whole league? He might be. He's certainly getting a lot of respect around the league. Good draft getting Nate Wiggins. That's an excellent move. You improve the secondary. TJ Tampa in the draft to go along with Marlon Humphrey, and Brandon Stevens was terrific last year. I thought he was the best corner all season long. The Browns, Denzel Ward was really good for them, has been really good for them. They did get Grant Pulpit as well, Thornhill, okay-ish. I think like their corners are pretty good. I think not great, but pretty good. The Squealers, I do like Mike Fitzpatrick. I mean, you gotta give a nod to him. I think that's not a lot there, and I do like the ascending of Joey Porter, so that puts him in third. The Bengals are not good. I don't like the back end at all. They did get better. They're probably better than last year. They did go get Geno Stone, our guy. He's going to go start for them. Along, they did bring Von Bell back, so I think they're going to be better than they were, but still not in love with it there. Ravens, I think maybe one of the best special teams groups in the league. You have the GOAT, Justin Tucker. You're going to have Nick Moore back this year. I think it's an outstanding special team group. The Browns, I think, are pretty good as well. The Squealers, typical Squealers, I think Boswell is still a really good kicker, and the Bengals have issues. Their coaching, I know. AFC Championship game. John Harbaugh is number one. John Harbaugh has won a Super Bowl. John Harbaugh's got a lot of experience. John Harbaugh's first. Tomlin, same. He's been able to take a team that's been pretty mediocre and kind of get them to the playoffs every year. Browns, I think, have been good. I think they had coach of the year last year, so definitely there's a lot to like there. And I think the Bengals coach is good as well, even though they didn't go to the playoffs last year considering the circumstances. So all around, good coaching in this division. We're going to nod Harbaugh. One Super Bowl. I know. AFC Championship game. There you go. All right. So the North. Interesting to see what happens. This is going to be a tough division, guys. I don't want anybody to think that, okay, we're just going to breathe through it. Next week, we'll probably be going through the schedule unless they surprise us. But it'll be interesting to see. I think the strengths are kind of the same as last year. Quarterback, running back, tight end, offensive line still up in the air. You got good help on the D line. Linebacker, kind of, sort of, but they play a lot of DB. The DBs, I think, are much better, so they're a strength. So we'll see how we do in the North of the AFC.